Hey, everybody, and welcome to day 3 of our journey through the Bible. Today's reading comes from Genesis chapter 2, and then the last part of John chapter 1. As we read today, I just have a few things that I want you to think about as you go through your reading. We've already read up to this point that God created everything in the world. And we've been able to see God's order, days 1 through 6, how God created the world and then filled the world. But today we're going to read the story of how God created Adam and Eve, and particularly the way that he made them both to be the perfect puzzle piece for each other. Now, as you read Genesis chapter 2, here's what I want you to notice. Notice the way that the text reads. Sometimes when we think of Genesis chapter 2 and the stories of the garden, it almost seems fairy tale-like, but notice some of the details. Notice, for instance, how Moses describes the rivers that run through it and what the land is like. That's not the kind of thing that you would read in a fairy tale. It's the kind of thing that tells us that this is real, that this is historical, and it's reliable. And then notice also, as you read about Adam and Eve, think about the way the Bible describes them as being suitable for each other or designed for each other. And that's really important for us, especially in this day and age, whenever there are a lot of people who challenge whether or not men and women are really truly designed for each other, and whether that's something that God has made as a gift, or whether or not that's something that we made up. And I would tell you, and the Bible teaches us, that that's a gift from God. It's God's gift that men and women are different, but we're also designed for each other. And then as you move on to the end of John chapter 1, it's the story of bringing someone to Jesus. And it's a great story. Here's the thing with the book of John. Adelaide's really getting into it, as you can tell. In the book of John, over and over, John wants us to see that Jesus is someone that we should put our trust in. So think about it like this. Think about what it would be like if you had never, ever heard or seen or knew anything about Jesus before. You'd probably be pretty skeptical, wouldn't you? And the same thing was true for people who were first reading the Bible. They only had to go off of what they heard. And, think about it. If you hear about Jesus, what would it take to convince you that he's the Son of God? And as you read that text today, think about how John's trying to prove that Jesus is someone who's worthy of your trust, so that we would be a people, like in the text, who bring others to Jesus to follow along with him. All right? So I hope your reading is going well, and I'll see you again tomorrow.